So we've talked about different filter types, like low pass, band pass, and high pass filters. And we've also talked about filter resonance. In this next section, we're going to be going over another key control of filters, and that is filter slope. You've probably seen this before. Filter slope is defined as decibels per octave. Don't worry, we'll break down step by step why it's called decibels per octave later in this video. But for now, let's just focus on what effect filter slope has on our filters. We're going to listen to two low-pass filters. Everything about these filters is the same. They're set at the same frequency and the same Q value. The only difference is the filter slope. Notice how the first filter was much more gradual, and it let a lot more of the high frequencies through. You can visually see how gradual this filter is. The second filter that we engaged was much steeper. Again, it's very easy to visually see the difference here. And you could also hear that there were a lot less high frequencies. Again, we didn't change the actual frequency of the filter or the Q of the filter, only the filter slope. Filter slope is a great tool that will allow you to change how your filters sound and react, as you can hear in this example. You might want to use a more gradual slope if you're trying to taper off some of the highs without being too aggressive. Let's say you're trying to tame the high frequencies of some drums. A gradual filter slope is great for that. In other instances, you may want a steeper filter slope, something that's going to provide more of a filtered effect. For example, maybe you're trying to cut out some low rumble, and you want to turn those low frequencies down. As you can hear, changing the filter slope has a drastic effect on the sound of the filter. As we'll look at later in this course, we'll talk about different techniques for using different filter slopes, depending on what you're using the filter for. Use your ears to determine the best slope for your filter. Let's dive deeper into understanding exactly how filter slope works. To understand this, we first need to define what an octave is. You might be familiar with this term as it relates to the musical scale. For example, if we play an A, we can play another A on the keyboard, and these A's are one octave apart. Let's look at it from a technical standpoint. This note, A, has a fundamental frequency of 440 Hz. The next A on the keyboard has a fundamental frequency of 880 Hz. We know this because they are one octave apart, and each octave is double the fundamental frequency of the previous octave. So the next A on the keyboard has a fundamental frequency of 880 Hz times 2, or 1760 Hz. So we know that the octave up of a frequency is 2 times what that frequency is. An octave down is 1/2 of that frequency. This is how we determine the slope of filters. A common slope for a low-pass filter is 12 dB per octave. This means that every octave, the filter will cut the signal by 12 decibels. So if the filter is set to 1 kHz and the slope is set to 12 decibels per octave, we can see that the filter is cutting 12 decibels in the first octave, which in this case is 2 kHz. The next octave is going to be 4 kHz, and it's going to be cut another 12 dB. Let's set our filter to 24 dB per octave. In AreaQ, we can right-click on this button and select the range. It's now set to 24 dB per octave. Now the same filter that we're using at 1 kHz is now a much steeper slope. It's going to cut 24 decibels every octave. So with a filter set at 1 kilohertz, we know that at 2 kilohertz, which is the first octave, it's going to be cut 24 decibels. Again, the next octave here is 4 kilohertz, and it's going to be cut another 24 decibels. So as we move this frequency around, the actual frequencies and octaves will change, but the slope remains the same. If we set this low-pass filter to 100 Hz with a slope of 12 dB per octave, we can see that the filter is going to cut 12 decibels at the first octave, which in this case is 200 Hz. It's then cutting another 12 dB at the second octave, which is 400 Hz. So that is the technical details on how to read filter slope and what it means. But the good news is that with powerful EQs like Infinity EQ, you don't necessarily need to know what exactly your slope is set to. This means that you can set it to whatever you like and whatever your ear is guiding you towards. Let your ear be the judge of what your filter slope should be, and set it so that the filter sounds how you want it to.